live?
Good.
Okay. Well, hello everyone and welcome. This is Tyler County Commissioners Court. We want to acknowledge to everyone that may be viewing us by live stream that we're a little late in getting started this morning. There was another court proceeding that was taking place ahead of us that we now got the room set up. Gentlemen and those who are present this morning, this would be a good time to silence or put your cell phones on vibrate in the event that you have not already done so. With that being said, we'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Tyler County Commissioners Court to order. Let the record reflect that the quorum is present and that this meeting has been duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. It is the practice of this court to exercise an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. This morning, the court member that will be providing for that is going to be Commissioner Hudson. So here's our disclaimer. If anyone is uncomfortable with our practice or would not prefer to participate in the prayer portion or the pledge allegiance to the flag, this would be a good time to mute your audio or possibly step out of the courtroom, and then you can rejoin us once we've completed that. With that being said, Commissioner Hudson.
Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for each and every one that's here and represented today. I pray that you would be with those that are sick, still dealing with the virus. Thank you that it's starting to go away a little bit. Pray that you would be with us today as we make decisions for our county government. Help us to make the right choice. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Which flag?
Your choice.
I think I did this one last time.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. At this particular time of our agenda, we invite the public to make comments to the court. This is something that is a part of the Open Meetings Act, and the court has identified 3 minutes as a time frame for which anyone can speak to items on the agenda or specifically to the court pertaining to its responsibilities. And we have one, did you say, Donna?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have Kate Timmy, and she wants to speak to item M and N.
All right.
And Joe, you want to start your timer?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna talk fast. I think this is just under 4 minutes.
Give me just a second. Wait till the next time.
Okay.
And if you'll just signal to her when she's got about 30 seconds left, and it's play to the court. If she's not finished, then we'll get permission for her to continue. Okay.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Kate Timmy, and I am the chair of the Tyler County Historical Commission. And my comments this morning reflect the position of the TCHC. I'll use the acronym. I wish to address items N and N regarding the policy for use of historic pieces and the application for the Dogwood Festival Committee to use the historic courthouse bell in the Dogwood play. Last Friday, I posted a special called meeting of TCHC because we were identified in the policy as being one of the entities to grant permission for the use of historic pieces. We realized that timing is critical relative to the Dogwood Festival, and we needed to be able to review everything and come up with our position. And I knew that we would not have time after today's meeting to post a meeting and get everybody together because time is of the essence. So I did request from the judge a copy of the application, so we were able to review that. And I know in your packet you have the communication stream with all of the emails from the Texas Historical Commission, which I'll call THC. It started on March the 8th. Per your request, I sent a message to Mr. Melanathy asking what restrictions, conditions, etc. that THC might have on using the bell, and I got a reply very quickly that afternoon, as a matter of fact, and I sent that on to Mrs. Mike and Commissioner Hudson because I didn't have some of the details. So over time, there was a lot of communication back and forth, and THC did outline specific questions and requirements for use of the bell, primarily the development and adoption by court of a sound policy for the use of historic pieces. So regarding the policy, Mrs. Monk did invite me to have input on that, and so we reviewed some existing policies. I don't remember what museums they were, but I went online and pulled out some use forms. You know, there is a precedent for borrowing historic pieces from museums. So we looked at that and incorporated some of that language in there. So when we met yesterday, when I met with the Historical Commission, we talked through the application, and well, first we talked through the policy, and there were several points that the TCHC felt like needed clarification, such as determining the value of replacement value of historic items before they were loaned out. But okay, it seems that with all of the replies that Leanne has gotten from the Historical Commission at the state level, they're okay with everything that's been submitted, so there's not any sort of problem there. We realized yesterday when we were talking through everything that there's not yet a procedure from start to finish of the application and review process. We weren't sure really when we should become involved as TCHC.
Okay, give me just a second.
Sure.
Is it the wish of the court for her to finish up?
Okay, thank you.
Let's continue.
So, and at what point the TCHC would sign off giving permission, because we are specifically stated in the policy as having part of that responsibility. So just in the big picture, we'd like to recommend the development of a procedure that would be uniformly followed by all applicants. I know that can't happen today, but in the future, if you adopt the policy, that would be a request that we would have. All that being said, we believe the policy is adequate for now, and if the court adopts the policy, we will support that decision with the reservations that were noted. We ask that any adopted policy be followed to the letter, such as requiring proof of insurance and pre and post event inspections and photographs be taken and kept on file. Regarding the use of the bell, we believe, the TCHC believes that the bell is a significant and irreplaceable artifact of our county, and that citizens should have the opportunity to view it. The Dogwood Historic Play appears to be an appropriate venue for that to happen, especially as this is the 175th birthday of our county. Note that the TCHC's concerns regarding liability seem to be addressed adequately by policy item number 12 and the corresponding application item. We also did discuss concerns related to moving the bell, and we trust that transportation arrangements are adequate to protect the bell. It also appears there's a sort of a question we had, that is, you approve the application as the court, that would approve everything that's within the application document, but we weren't really sure if that's the way that it's intended. So after much discussion, TCHC voted that if the court approves the application for use of the historic bell, we will support that decision with the reservations noted previously. And Bob and I are here when you get to agenda items. If you have questions, if you want to talk about our conversations yesterday, we're happy to help you with that. And the photographs, as I noted there at the top, were taken on February the 9th. So that's our precious artifact right there. I wanted y'all to have that. That's all I have.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay, that takes us now to the resolutions and proclamations portion of your agenda, and we have one, and Commissioner Stirk brings that to the court.
Yes. A motion on that?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'm bringing forward a motion that we proclaim April 25th through May the 2nd, 2021 Soil and Water Stewardship Week, Healthy Forest, Healthy Communities. I have Keith Hatt here to speak if we get a second on that.
Okay, there is a second. All right, so we're now ready for discussion,
Yes.
and you would like for Keith to
Yes.
make
If
comments.
that's okay with the board.
Is it please the court?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it, y'all. NRCS stands for Natural Resources Conservation Services, served locally by the Lone Leaf Soil and Water Board, I think 439. Stephen's on the board, Jamie Davis, Willard Scott, Laird Moncrief, and myself. We're served locally by Josh Johansson. And our goal is to assist local landowners in ways to improve their natural resources, be it air, water, soil, timber, animals, wildlife, hay, grass, all that type of stuff. We do that through technical assistance and financial assistance, but for you, that means we tell you how to do it, and we even help you pay for some of it, okay? But I would like to thank the Commissioners Court for years of helping our district out. Y'all helped us financially, and then y'all helped us with the pat on the back, and we appreciate that very much. So I ask that y'all pass this proclamation, and it help us a little bit to get the word out a little bit more. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Commissioner, anything else?
I'm good.
All right. I don't recall if we've ever had a recognition for that organization before, so that's kind of unique. Good. All right. So we have the motion with the second on the floor. We've had comments or presentation. Any other discussion? All in favor of the proclamation, say aye. And there's none opposed. Thank you. Let's go down to our consider, approve, and informational section of your agenda, and we'll start with item A, which is the minutes from the previous meeting. Donnice has emailed those to us, and I think she and I had some comments yesterday, and then we had an updated version. We discussed a couple of items that would be of benefit before we brought it to the court this morning. Is there a motion to receive the minutes into the record?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Stirk has the second. Any comments or questions? Everybody good with the wording of everything? Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? And there is none. That moves us to item B, and Lynette is here by way of Commissioner Stirk.
Yes, make a motion for modification of the tax collection software maintenance from an in-house server to a cloud-based server, which is going to make it a lot easier for Lynette, and I bring that in form of a motion.
There is a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Marshall has the second. Any comments or questions? Lynette, anything you want us to be aware of?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that as up in from 2009, when we went with Spindle Media to now, we have 2 servers, and we've had to replace them once already. And this is going to stop that. We won't have to replace or maintain servers anymore. The records will be in the cloud. They will maintain everything. The updates will be instantaneous. We won't have to wait like we do now. It takes longer. And it'll help with the website that will be in place, that they can look up their property tax to pay. As of now, all they have to know their account number and go in and make payments. With this, they can look it up by name, address, and pay partially. You know, they'll know what exactly they're paying on, and print receipts. It's and a lot of mortgage companies and banks, they request statements and receipts constantly. They can go in and do that themselves. They won't have to email or call us. So it's just going to be more efficient, and it'll help the website. Finally, we'll have that.
Good. Thank you, Lynette. Any other comments or questions?
Lynette, is there any cost difference associated with
The
it?
cost is $7,500 above the maintenance cost. Now, they will, this year, they said that they can do a prorated amount, since we've already paid our year's maintenance cost this year and started in June, and it'll be $4,375 from
This
June
year.
to the end of this year to convert over to the cloud.
Same company, same contract, just a different way of
It's just-
storing
correct.
software,
Do you think it'll be a big benefit for y'all?
Oh, yes,
and the public as well.
for us and the public.
Commissioner, you're probably wondering how that's going to be paid for, aren't you?
Well,
It's in the same line item, I would suspect. Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed or abstaining? And there are none. Item C, Commissioner Blanchard.
I'll make a motion that we purchase 4 high-speed scanners out of the county clerk records management budget for $19,711.96 plus shipping.
Okay.
Ms. Donnie's.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second, so we're now ready to have comments.
Well, we've had small scanners for several years now, probably since 2009 for sure. And we've gotten a lot of software, and it's just got to where the small scanners don't have enough memory. They get locked up, and we have to shut the computer down and reboot, and so, it's just time to come up with more memory. And we've got a lot of use out of our small ones, but as much as we're doing now, they're just not, the memory, I don't know, whatever you call that, Donald, help me out. It's, not large enough, it just gets locked up. And so Donald found these scanners for us, and I put plus shipping, because I know he said that he thought there was no shipping cost, but just in case. And so, yes, I want to take it out of the records management budget. There's money in that budget for that. It's just not budget, I mean, the line item that we have for equipment or something in there, Jackie, it's not that much, it's not that amount. So I just need approval from the Commissioner's Court.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
We actually have a motion with a
Okay.
second on the floor. We're just continuing with discussion. Anything else further?
Do we need to move money over there?
No.
It's there.
I mean,
Just
that
get
can
it
look
approved.
like a
Money's
line
there,
item.
we'll just have to do a budget amendment once it's
Okay.
got there, so we know how much to come in.
I'll probably have to take it out of the carryover or something and put it into that line.
Yeah, the money's there, we just have to move it
Yeah.
around. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, aye? Any opposed or abstaining? And motion carries unanimously. Item D is Commissioner Blackshirt also.
Sir, I'll make a motion that we purchase software out of the county clerk's records management budget for Commissioners Court from Integrated Data Services in the amount of $5,300.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
And I actually was there whenever the guy was demonstrating this service, and it was really neat. Type of words, and it pulls up everything out of the minutes, and individuals like Ms. Kay's been, researching, she can use that stuff. And from her computer, they can go to the link on our website and pull it up. So it was nice.
So,
Easier for you, too.
any thought?
So we don't have to call you anymore, we can look
Yeah,
ourselves.
exactly right. But it's also gonna be really neat for y'all when we're doing the agendas and stuff, because, once we get everything finalized and, the attachments all scanned in, well, we just send you a link, an email with a link in it, and you just click on that link and up pops your agenda, and here's all the attachments on the left. You can individually, click on them. It's just like a one-click thing. You don't have to go hunt, different for OneDrive and all that sort of stuff. So that's a big plus. But yeah, the really big one is that like Lynette was talking about hers, the public can do their own search. And they're out there on the internet, easy to find. Donald's already, I think, made us he made that for something else, but we're gonna use on the first page of the Commissioner's Court, the county's website, he added a Commissioner's Court, quick link or something. And so we're gonna try to put this software, if y'all approve it, right there where the public pulls up. If they wanna look at minutes, they just click there. And then here's all the years, and a search box pops up, and really neat. And the amount of money was $5,300.
Okay.
And it'll have an annual maintenance fee of $1,500, I believe, Jackie. 1,000 or 1,500. And also that money is in the county clerk's records management budget, but it's not specifically laid out. So that's why I'm requesting y'all to approve it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Any opposed or abstaining? And there are none. Item E,
Got
Commissioner
the
Stir.
renewal of the Tyler Technologies contract, which I think this is an ongoing renewal, yearly renewal. I bring that in form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Marshall. Okay. Comments or questions?
Is that right, Jackie? Just
Yes, yes.
All right. Are you ready for the question? All in favor, aye? Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Item F, Commissioner Stirk has it as well.
Yes, it's, just to give you a little update on what's happening at the courthouse remediation project. The ADA bathroom that the court approved to put in on the second floor on the west side of the courtroom over there, where the air handler was at for the air conditioning system on that side of the building for the courtroom. The plans called for no replacement of the air conditioning system, and so the system that's in there off the other side is not enough to handle that, that much volume, square foot wise in there in the courtroom. So we're getting some engineering work done, mechanical engineering work, and through the architect to put in some of those units, and I forgot what they're called, the variable, whatever refrigeration units, VRV, like in the, on the other side of the courtroom there. So anyway, that money is, we have that in the contingency fund for the project, and so the only money we've touched there on the thing that's happened was the low voltage data so far. So we ain't got the final price on it yet, but I think it's gonna be way below what we set aside for things that would come along like that. But something we're gonna have to do, there's not enough air conditioning system in there now to keep it cool or warm. So it's some changes we're gonna make. That unit that cools that side of on the east side, it can handle 5 units that are inside the building. There's 3 in the courtroom, 1 in the foyer, and the 5th one is in the computer room downstairs in the vault. And what the problem is when the courtroom gets cold, they turn the heater on, that turns the heat on inside the computer room, which we do not need to happen. So we're looking at putting the computer room on one totally by itself, where it cools all the time, and then move that 4th one wherever we need to upstairs, and then put another 5-unit system in the other side, and should have plenty of cooling there. The engineers are looking at it. I think we took about 7 tons of cooling out of that room when we put the bathroom in. So that's just an update on where we are, and like they hadn't got the final problem cost, but they assured me it's gonna be way below what we had set aside for things like this to come along.
Informational only, no action required. Any questions for Commissioner on any of the statements?
And also, on the next little thing, the stucco or whatever it's called on the outside of the building, I forget what it's called.
Stucco.
Yeah. The company that is doing that for the remediation, we're also got them looking at what it would cost to clean, paint, and fix all the stucco that's falling off the stairs and seal all of that too around the stairs at the front of the courthouse while they're there doing that project, the required project. And so we're working on that, and again, don't give us a bid on painting everything that hadn't been painted, which I think about 1/3 of the courthouse is painted. The back half has already been painted, and they don't give us a bid on that. So soon I'll be bringing that to get that. See if I want to fix that while we're there, while he's there, and while we're there doing things. So that's all.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go down to item G. We'll begin with sub A. And Commissioner, you have that same.
Yes, make a motion that we seek bids for all road and bridge material, including hauling for Tyler County. That comes in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson.
And B, sub B, we seek bids for petroleum products for Tyler County. That's in the form of motion. Second.
Okay. So there's a motion for both A and B with seconds. With that being said, let's act upon GA. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. GB.
I'd like to make a comment on that.
Okay, certainly.
On B, I would like to, if the only objection of the court is on our minimum bid specifications, I would like to have a requirement that we, as the county, all departments that use the fuel have access to fuel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and at a central location that we can all get to and also have any of that fuel available on a generator system. Because if electricity goes down, then we still have a way to get fuel that's on the generator. That way, if, we don't have to buy generators for our barns. We don't, like now it's set up, the Gardner has generators on both the big system down and up top, so, but that's a bid requirement, a minimum bid specification. I would like to have that put in there too, so we don't lose that resource in the times that we're out of electricity. We can still get fuel, so if that, the court has no objection, I guess.
So they need to provide a source in case of an emergency when we're out of electricity or something.
A way for us to get fuel at any time, yeah.
Any other comments? On item G, D, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Item H, Commissioner Marshall.
Yes, sir. We just received word this morning, reached out from another company that does elevator work that is interested. And I don't know, I don't know enough about the elevator, all that stuff to know yet, but I'd like to table it till we hear more from the other company and just see where we're at.
Okay.
I'd like to table it for our next meeting.
It does require a second, is it?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson. All in favor, aye. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to mention to you, the rep that services us had formed his own company. It was after our contract last year.
Oh, okay.
Matter of fact, he's a son of one of the
So that's
commissioners. Yeah, and we may have a little bit more competitive of a bid. I know Commissioner Blacksher had expressed that early on, that he'd like for us to be very diligent in seeking those types of bids. So thank you. Okay, item H will be tabled to a future agenda. That takes us to item I, and Commissioner Marshall has that as well.
Yes, sir. We went over those bid packets this morning and let's see. On the engineering, we're going, let's see, LJA scored number 1. KSA would be our backup in case something happens like last time when LJA stepped down. We had to go back through the process again to pick a number 2, but I think we go ahead and state a number 2 now. So LJA number 1, KSA number 2, and Goodman Master number 3 on engineering. And quickly Oliver number 4. I think this week under that one we need to go.
So do you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we accept the LJA as the number 1 and KSA as the number 2.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson. Second. Comments or questions?
Mike, that was the scoring committee that made it.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah. Myself, Jackie, and Ken.
Right. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? And there are none. Takes us to item J, and Commissioner,
Wait a minute, we didn't do administrative, we just did engineer.
I'm just gonna do administrative.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the
yeah,
second.
we'll just join together.
Engineering and
Yeah. On the administrative, we had Waxman and Associates number 1 and Langford number 2, and they were the only 2 that we had.
Okay.
And I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, so there is a motion, and was that a second?
Second.
Okay. There was a motion, second, Commissioner Sturg, for the administration, with the scoring being in a recommendation from the committee to Waxman and Associates. On item I, with the administrative portion of it, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? And there are none. All right, item J, Commissioner Marshall.
Request to go out for reconstruction bids on the 2020 CTIF County Transportation Infrastructure Fund Grant Program for County Road 3020 Industrial Park Road.
Okay, is that in the form of a motion, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and there is a second. Inviting conversation, comments or questions?
I'd just like to say, I mean, we approved, or 6 months ago or so, I think we got the word, maybe a little longer, that we had I mean, on this particular grant. And of course, we've had so many different things going on, but we're back online with it and get it all going. So,
That's from the overload or the weight from the oil and overload permits from Texas.
yes, I think that's what that CTIF grant was. But if y'all remember, we had like $220-something thousand, and they wanted one project.
One project.
And that's why I asked to use the industrial park roads, since it's
It needs.
under all four of our
Been working on that a while. I recall, several years ago, there was.
so hopefully we can get it fixed.
A lot of heavy truck traffic. Which we want.
Anyway, I'll put it in form of a motion.
We do have a motion with a second, and if there's any other comments or questions, hearing none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Item K, Commissioner Marshall.
Yes, sir. I've had several people asking about hangar spaces at the airport, and we're extremely limited with the access to the runway that we have. So I got an estimate on a project to make some improvements where we can add some more hangar spaces. And the estimate was around, I just give you a ballpark figure, it's under 125,000. And I would like to try to use, one thing I'd like to try to get back where we can use some grant money, because we can save us some of our county money, but that's about a 3-year cycle to get in on that. And I feel like this is something that we really need to try to do shortly, because so many people requesting spaces. And I would like to use some of the money out of our right-of-way fund to try to pay for this project. And I think it would be a good long-term investment for us to get money back from the airport. And we're getting a lot more interest in the airport. But anyway, I think we have, 600,000 or so, maybe, around 500,000 in that fund. We used money out of it to do the Rodeo Arena Airport Road up through there a couple of years ago. But anyway, I would like to use money out of that and go out for bids for this project, if it pleases the court.
Is that in the
Put it
form
in
of a motion?
motion.
Thank you.
And I'll second.
There is a second, Commissioner Stir. Comments or questions?
Do we need to change the wording on this so we can include going out for bids now too on this?
Yeah.
I mean, is that what we're trying to do is
Yes.
go out for bids?
Yes.
And-
Well, that's what yes. I think I messed up on that. Yeah, I'd like to go out for bids on it. I don't know if that'll,
You can amend it, Brad, no problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, you want to amend your motion
motion
to
to
include
going out for
the
bids.
seeking bids?
Yes.
Okay. So there is an amendment to your motion. Is there a second to his amendment?
Second the amendment.
Okay, let us act upon then the amended motion to include the language seeking bids for item K. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? And there's none. Thank you. Item L, Commissioner Hudson.
Yes, sir. Spoke with Leanne. She's wanting to hire or put it in her budget or whatever to have a temporary worker in the absence of both of herself and her assistant treasurer. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to explain it?
I can.
Okay.
But
anyway,
I
would like to make a motion that we add a temporary worker for the treasurer's office in the absence of both the treasurer and the assistant treasurer.
Second.
There's a motion with the second. Okay, so now for comments, questions, or discussion.
Basically, there's about 20 days of the year that, barring either of us get sick or anything like that, could cause an absence of both of us due to continuing education, those kinds of things. And currently, right now, I have $0 in my budget for any kind of part-time or overtime assistance. So if we're out, then my office shuts down. So I would appreciate some assistance there.
And it was for like a total of 20 hours for the total year,
It's like 20 days.
20 days.
29 hours a week,
if needed. I mean, the max, 29 hours a week, and at $12.
At $12 an hour. So it was less, just a little less than $2,000, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just for those 20 days.
Right, it's not a part-time position, it's just,
Okay.
from what I understand,
Anybody in mind, or?
Yes.
it's just for those 20 days, and it's possible she wouldn't even use it, I guess, correct?
Right, there's an option that maybe, that maybe we're not out together, or maybe we can work around that. But, as it stands right now, if both of us got sick, there's
I think we just did that during the budget workshop, never did move forward with that request at that time.
totally.
And how did you handle that whenever you were closed for those periods of time, like under the construction? How was
We
that?
work from home.
All right.
So is there gonna be a dollar amount, Buck, that we stick with?
Well, at the most, it would be,
$2,000.
hmm,
And I asked for
About
2,000.
about $2,000 at the most, if you
$20.
use the whole 20 days.
And the reason I'm asking, is my concerns about if we got part-time, I feel like that should be in the budget cycle, so, I'm all right with it.
Just a couple thousand.
Yeah, it's not
Is this gonna
part-time.
come out of contingency?
It's got to, because we moved the part-time salaries over out of that single line item into contingency. Just a question for clarification. Is it contingent upon the documentation of the both of you being out at the same time?
When you say documentation,
In other words, like, I'm going to this and she's gone to that, both of us are out, and that's my,
I mean, do you all need to
Utilization.
supply a note? I mean, that we're gonna be gone together? I mean, what are your recommendations, or requirements?
What are the educational requirements, hours per year? You have that off the top of your head?
20, 15, depending on the PFIA or the investment side of that. She also is now required to have that. So depending on certification going forward, she doesn't have to have as much as I do, but there will be some times where we have those continuing ed situations together.
20 on the treasury side and 15 on the investment side.
Correct.
So 35
total.
35 a year, so.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
I think 20 days is too much.
It's total of a month period of
I
time.
mean, there's not that much training that goes on. Be out that much.
Well, it's not for saying that they're gonna be out all of it
We're not talking about.
at the same time, so I mean, it wouldn't be used. It's just there in case.
And I'd be more comfortable with bringing some of those days down to like 14 days to cover them for the time that they're out on training.
And, I'm all, if we set a dollar amount, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Any other comments? So, just so I'm understanding, are you wanting to amend it to be exclusive to the 2,000 total?
I'm comfortable with that, but if Stephen wants to,
Yeah, well, I mean, I would like a dollar amount. I don't think we need $2,000 in there. Hey. More like 10 days or something like that,
It should be 1,000.
which would be 1,000, which will cover 2 weeks of training, 2 full weeks of training, with both of them going.
You want to make that in form of an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so there is an amendment to restrict it to a total or capped at $1,000 to support whatever that need might be. Is there a second to the amendment? Going once, going twice? The amendment dies from a lack of a second. So that takes us back to the original motion, which is on the floor. And with the calculations that have been presented, the belief is it's $2,000 for the total, which Commissioner, you're,
Can we, can we meet, I mean, if he wants to go lower, can we meet in the middle somewhere there?
you want to propose an amendment?
I'd just like to go ahead and say $2,000.
I mean,
We got,
it's
we
not
got to
even,
trust our treasurer.
Thank you, Mike, I appreciate that.
it's not even in stone that she'll use it. I mean,
Right.
that's-
I think $2,000.
I'm fine with that.
So, we do have the motion with the second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed, chair abstains. That takes us to item M, and, let's see, Buck, you have that one also.
Okay, we're back to the veil. I guess this is where we need to make a motion to, accept the policy and the application on the use of the Tyler County historic pieces.
Okay,
I'll second.
it's been included, so we do have a second. Now, we are on that topic with the policy. That being said, comments, questions?
Yeah, so I had a comment, I posed it before because of, the possibility of getting into liability, and I saw on there on the policy that, it requires 2 times the amount. My question is, are we gonna get all this stuff appraised, for everything to know what the policy size should be? Because, I mean, this is a 1892 bill specific to our county. It just seems like it almost irreplaceable. So that was my concern when I read the policy. And the liability if something, but they cover.
Can you answer that, Kay, or do you have any information?
Well, we did have this conversation yesterday, chime in if I leave anything out. One of the questions that the commission members asked, well, what is the list of potential things to be borrowed? Is this the only thing that would ever be borrowed? And so we're thinking, all right, well, if somebody comes in and wants to borrow the Gilchrist painting, what is the value on that? Can you even put a value on it? Somebody wants to borrow Judge West's desk out of the district judge office upstairs, what is the value on that? And so it kind of got into, is there a defined list of what can be borrowed? And then on top of that, what would the value be of each of those pieces? We have no answer to that. We watched I shared with the commission a video that I found on YouTube that was actually filmed at the McShane Bell Company, and they're building a bell, and they talk about how they go through the process of creating the bell and passing. They say something to the effect that this bell would be, $20-something thousand, a new one that they're building. And so the dollar value really is unknown. I believe in my heart that there are, there are bells out there somewhere. I don't know if you could get one. I don't know what you would have to pay to get it. So
That was my concern, and you brought up another concern is, are we gonna be in the habit of, loaning historical things out?
I don't know that anybody would probably want to borrow this bell other than the Dogwood Festival. I mean, they've already told you that we can't even build a place to display it on the courthouse square, correct?
Permanent place.
A permanent place, so I mean,
Well, I think could we possibly make it exclusively for the historical commission that's wanting to use it or asking to use it?
Well,
Or y'all not really want
We're not
to?
asking.
They're not
We're not.
asking you.
The policy states the commissioner's court has the final say. And so if it's any organization that the court is not comfortable with, I mean, you can always send.
Well, on the
Or any
the
house.
company that was talking about moving it though, they have insurance. I'm wondering how that would cover it if,
They have a liability policy for damage at $1 million.
okay. So I mean, if our bail ended up being appraised at $40,000 and something happens to it, it would be covered. So,
And
It may be that this is such an odd thing that we just have to handle it on a case-by-case, piece-by-piece basis.
yeah, I think that.
I think that would.
That's exactly
part of the
right.
Policy, everything would have to go through them and us.
the
I think
policy,
they have a
it's in the
requirement
the policy has to be in
to,
place before they.
Right.
well, the way that it's currently written, it says who gives permission for the use, the commissioner's court with the permission of both the Tyler County Historical Commission and THC. And one of the questions that was asked yesterday, well, has THC approved everything? Well, what I read, what they communicated with you, so long as you all adopt the policy, they even said, they don't want to know every time somebody asks to borrow something. It feels to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, that they are saying, if y'all adopt the policy and send the policy to us, do what you want to do in your own county. One of the questions that came up yesterday was who may borrow the historic pieces? Is there a short list? And I know that today, no, but if you adopt this and there's like long-term plans to allow this to all happen, will there be a short list? An example yesterday was, okay, so Coleman Hill ISD 2 weeks from now decides they want to borrow the bell. How does it play out the next time and the next time? And, but those are just questions that can't be answered between now and Saturday. So we appreciate the time crunch that you're under.
But the policy needs to define how that process works. We had lots of questions. We would beat this thing to death in our meeting over the bell use just today if we had weeks to look at it. And so if somebody else wants to use it, that's exactly what would happen. So the process, we don't have the process in place. We just have an application. What is the actual procedure? If it comes before the historical commission, we're gonna really nail those requirements down. We're gonna make sure that this company, for instance, not only has the liability, we want to know exactly how they're gonna move it. Are they gonna have a forklift there? Is forklift operator trained? It's not just a fly-by-night company. We would have lots of questions if it ever happens again. We don't know if it'll happen again, but Coleman is a good example. They may have an anniversary of the forming of the city, of the railroad coming through, and they said, we need that. So,
But all we're doing
guys,
on this
what I
side
actually did.
is just the policy.
Couldn't we do that
This
policy
is a policy.
on a case-by-case basis though in the policy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we can always amend the policy
Yes.
at any time. We can go back and amend it or do
So
away
does-
with it or whatever we need to.
We don't have any conflict with the use of the bell for this historical moment at all.
So we have to set that for the policy.
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
So just from looking at these pictures, it's secure on some kind of a foundation, correct?
It's on the pallet.
It's on a pallet. So does it actually ring? Is the little thing still in there? Okay, okay. I mean, I don't see the point moving it nowhere if you can't really ring it.
I agree, but it does ring.
I mean, it's gonna sound, oh, that's gonna be kind of creepy, isn't it? It's the first time it's rang and
You can
what?
cover the pallet with some black.
Yeah,
Yes, and I included that. In
it's one of
my-
those get the chills moment, huh?
And we anticipate at the end of the ceremony, at the end of the presentation, that the kids are gonna wanna come forward, they're gonna wanna ring that bell. So they need to be observed ringing that bell. I think that would be a good thing to do, let these children have that memory.
And it's been in storage for how long?
1892.
Yeah, it's been upstairs. Whatever the courthouse. Very few eyes had ever seen it until 4 or 5 years ago when we took it down.
Well, the very last thing, like under the additional guidelines, the photos, sound recordings, and physical touches to the piece must be approved as applicable. That's why I asked, kind of posed the question of, does approval of an application of there's not gonna have to be a separate decision about whether the kids can touch it. If you approve it, then it's implied that whatever the borrower chooses to do. And I just wanna make sure that that was right, that we understood that correctly.
But we would clarify, that we need to clarify, what does the borrower plan to do with it?
Yeah, beyond this, we know it.
Yeah, we're not worried about this.
We just have to have a policy to move forward.
All hinges on that.
I got the question on the top.
Okay, so question's been called for on the policy. All in favor, aye? Any opposed? One opposed? All right, that takes us to item N. Consider approve the application for the Tyler County Dogwood Festival to borrow the historic courthouse bell for use during the historical play. Commissioner Fitz,
I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
there's a second. There is a second. Mr. Stewart. Okay, comments and questions?
So I talked to Brian Carlson and Austin Carlson, who was the owner of Carlson Moving, who agreed to move the bell. And specific questions I had was, what is his plan on that? And the owner that had Brian came over and looked at it a while back. And what his plan is to use a pallet jack to pick it up, and not a forklift. It's never gonna don't get more than 3 inches off the ground. Put it on one of their lift gates, on one of their box trucks, pick it up with a lift gate, and then pallet jack it into the truck. He said he believed the lift gate will pick it up, but he said if it hesitates, he's setting it back down and he's putting it back up. He's not gonna push any equipment to move this bales, but he thinks it will handle it fine.
800 pounds, I think is
What
what I
it
read.
was, but he thinks he can move it fine. He said it has never, when it's on the lift gate, that's when it's going to be being picked up. It's going to be on the solid lift gate at that time. He said the road over at the amphitheater would have to be fixed, before, and he's gonna come inspect it, make sure everything's good there before he can back down in there. He said that'd be the secondary thing. He'd go look at that. If he felt comfortable backing the truck down in there with no problems, he would. If he didn't, he'd call it off. So, I feel pretty confident, Mr. Carlson, that he's not gonna push anything, just get it moved, and he will move it at that afternoon, whenever that time is that we need to get it, or that y'all need it over there. And then after the program, he's gonna move it back that night to the location where it's at now. So if it needs to be on a trailer or something, they probably use a lift gate to set it down on a trailer, it's flatbed. But as far as he knows, it's just going back down to the ground. They can move it around over there on a pallet jack. Pallet jack only picks the pallet up a few inches. So anyway, that's the information I had from him on the movers. So.
GOSSON? or-
C-O-S-S,
CROSSI.
Crossing.
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 CRO.
OSSIN.
And I tend
But I'm not sure exactly.
to err on the side of caution because of the mess we're in with the courthouse, you know. And that's why I'd like to see it down there, but I'm just erring on caution.
Commissioner, if I can say, there will be no risk. If it.
It's always a risk.
No, but anytime that I feel like that it is, or Brian and I talk, and that it's gonna be too heavy, it's gonna be too whatever, I'm not gonna take that risk to the bill. If the weather's not right, if the road's not right, if anything is not right, it's all.
He said he also told me, he said if it's raining or a big chance of rain, he's not going to put it in.
But I wanted to clarify that I'm not opposed to having it down there, but, you know. $2 million
Sugar for a
courthouse.
dime.
It's not gonna do us much good sitting back here in this back room and nobody ever see it, so.
And you know what's really ironic about the whole thing is, eventually, as time goes by, it's gonna be a dusty relic left in that shed down there. And once we're all gone and a few, it'll probably be at some point in time, unless we maintain a really good historical commission, that it'll probably be found just as a useless piece of junk that nobody knows where it came from. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean,
And I think one day we could probably get it on the square, but right now that bale doesn't have a plan of its own. It's in with the master plans of both of them to stay in the bell tower or be part of the courthouse.
Right.
So it has to be, in order to get it on the courthouse square, you have to have a whole nother master plan that you're following. That we're gonna move this out there. It's not that we can't move it to have a separate place or be on this place. We just have to go through a whole new plan to get it there.
If we can get through
Get the
this.
first project
Right.
finished first. Let's get this
Let's get the
project.
sheet rock up.
Yeah,
That's
get the
all we
sheet
did.
rock. I mean, obviously it can be done because look at Hardin County and what they did. I mean, they built a replica of the dome of their courthouse that burned. So I guess if you go through the right procedures, eventually it could be,
It has to be in your plan.
has to be in your plan. So,
Harris County did something.
well, the one that burnt would have been historical, just like Newton and the rest of them. But, Hardin County has the modern courthouse, or what used to be a modern courthouse.
30 years.
Well, our problem is we're hammered in by that, that plan was
Right.
developed in 1990, and that's the problem, like Steve's
Right.
They
said.
don't tell how much another plan will cost.
Oh, it comes out.
Okay, let's go. The question.
Okay, so this question's been called for regarding the application You have both the motion with the second on the floor. There has been discussion. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? There is one opposition and one abstention. That being said, majority in favor of the application. All right. Anyone have anything for executive session? Commissioner Marshall, do you have the motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Commissioner Stirk with the motion to, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
I gotta thank y'all so much.
Recorded.